Good morning. I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you. Going to spend some time talking to you about you and your business. Really excited to spend some time with our next guest because it's talking about a topic that's near and dear to me. This is kind of where the bread and butter is, the rubber meets the road, or whatever cliche you like when it comes to growing your business. Excuse me there. We got Barrett Riddleberger. He's with a company called Exponential Selling, and I love people who are passionate about selling. And Barrett, welcome to the program. How are you today?
I'm great, Kevin. Thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. By the way, Exponential Selling is XPOTENTIAL selling.com. Check out the website. So, you know what? One of the things that people do have, a big challenge companies have, is finding quality salespeople. And I tell you, that is crucial in growing an organization. And I thought we'd have as a topic today how to find great salespeople in unexpected places. And I know you've been telling a story about that lately there at Exponential Selling.
That's right, Kevin. You hit the nail on the head. And, you know, in spite of all of the changes going on in the 21st century in business, at the end of the day, you still have to have somebody that is competent and capable of selling your products and services. And so finding and retaining premium sales talent is a big challenge that companies have always had but continue to have. And so one of the things that we do at Exponential is we provide psychological profiling of salespeople. So we are heavily vested in the hiring and recruiting process with our clients. Mm-hmm. And so what we do is through cognitive science, we uncover the thinking patterns, the attitudes, and the motivations of salespeople and sales candidates. And the philosophy is pretty simple. The better the thinking, the better the decisions. The better the decisions, the better the outcomes. And that obviously equates to things like quota attainment and maintaining margins. Mm-hmm. So we go through that process with our clients at the beginning to help them evaluate who's a good candidate and who's not, because you know as well as I do, somebody can come in and be very impressive in an interview, and then they fail miserably once they get on the job. That's costing corporate America billions of dollars a year. So what we do is we say, you may be surprised that there are salespeople out there who may not even realize that they're salespeople. They're in jobs that are not sales-oriented, but they have the internal wiring harness of a great salesperson. And when given the opportunity and evaluated properly, they can have a much richer career than they've ever had, and you could score yourself a salesperson with somebody you never thought was capable of doing so. And that's what we help them do. Sure.
Talk a little bit about the size range of the companies that you work with.
I'm sorry, can you ask me that one more time?
The size range of the companies that you work with?
Size range. We work from companies that are $2 million a year to $2 billion a year. Mm-hmm. So we work with a wide variety of companies. We're capable of helping somebody that's got small sales teams to very large sales team in high volume. And as a matter of fact, the assessment tools that we use come in 13 different languages, so we work with companies all over the world.
So you would call that like substantial small business to enterprise level, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not also it's not even sequestered to one type of sales role, whether you've got inbound sales reps, whether you've got outside hunters, outside account managers, or major account reps. Each of those different roles requires a different wiring harness. Mm-hmm. And you can't just make somebody a salesperson over here and then move them to a different role. That would be like taking Peyton Manning and putting him on the offensive line. Good player, wrong role, bad outcomes, even in the sales arena. So
by the way,
between those roles.
Based on this season, you're going to have to come up with a different quarterback to use as your example.
So I was proud of Peyton, and he had a great, standing ovation when he hit the field again. So we'll see what happens in the playoffs.
Yeah, you must be a Denver fan.
Good call.
All right. So talk a little bit about, what about the small companies, including those that aren't ready for your service? Because ultimately, I'm sure you would love to see a company grow to the point where they get to $2 million so that they can look at you. And I'm sure you have clients that isn't a hard number, but they've got to have a certain amount of substance to be able to even look at exponential selling. How do you, what advice do you have for the small business owner who wants to get to that point?
Well, the small business owner, in most cases, when you're a startup or you're a mom-and-pop shop, you're getting your sea legs and you're developing a customer base, most of the time they're the ones that are the salesperson.
Right.
So it's part of your business model to decide, when am I going to bring on somebody who's going to be exclusively dedicated to sales or predominantly dedicated to sales? And what does that look like? Because you've just changed the structure of your business. And fact is that there are plenty of small companies out there that we help that are less than $2 million, that are startups. We've done that a lot, whether it's a brand new startup or a startup of a division, that it's very simple. We say, once you've got to that point, you're going to want to be able to pay them something up front in terms of a base salary. You're going to want to find somebody that's economically motivated, that wants to go out and sell, that wants to have that commissionable sales role, because what that does is that, cuts your overhead down and enables them to be able to be the maker of their own dreams. The more you sell, the more you make. And there are people that are wired for that. So you're going to want to assess for that and make sure that they've got the cognitive capabilities, they've got the motivational capabilities, they've got the behavioral capabilities of being able to go out and do that. Our assessment tools are very easy to use. Go online, it's 20 minutes. They complete the report. You get a copy. We get a copy. We provide you with an interpretation to help you select the right person. So even if it's your first person, you can still use the service. We're still there for you, but you just have to make sure structurally you know how to manage that person. And that's really where you now get into the second phase of our business, and that is training and development, both for salespeople and sales leaders. You'd be surprised at how many people out there have sales reps and they don't know how to coach and lead them.
Right.
That becomes a structural issue and an education issue, because now the business owner is wearing two hats, manager as well as sales leader.
Yeah, early on, you're working significantly more with a sales rep than you were before, because you are doing multiple jobs early on. Eventually, if you're lucky, and not if you're lucky, if you did a good job choosing someone and you do a good job training that someone, they'll eventually become, a sales manager for you, even if they're a sales manager of one. But you got to do a lot of investment of time in the front end.
Yeah, and that's what we've identified 7 different types of sales managers, one of which is a selling sales manager. It happens whenever they're your first salesperson, and then you start bringing on your second. Somebody's got to be in charge of that new sales rep, and it's not always the business owner that can do it. If you're setting up a new division or a new branch, then you've got to be able to have somebody out there who can sell and gin up the business in order to create the revenue and the cash flow with which you can start bringing on new sales reps. But for a period of time, that selling sales manager is going to be wearing both hats. It's very tough because you can have divided interests. We need the revenue. I got to go sell. This sales rep needs attention and coaching and development because we need to be able to replicate this success across multiple people and spread out the revenue burden across all of them. So
right. You got to give him an incentive to help another guy who's brought on. He needs to get an override of that activity or whatever. You got to give him a reason to want to make it grow.
Absolutely, and that's what we typically do, is whenever we're in a situation like that where we're providing consulting and training and advisement to a company, we say, where do you want to go and what is the time frame? Because the natural tendency is for a selling sales manager to go to that area that they're most comfortable. If they were a superstar sales rep, then they'll keep selling, they'll keep generating revenue, and their philosophy for coaching is, hey, just do what I do. But there's a transference of knowledge and transference of skill set to help raise up the other folks.
Got it.
And vice versa, if they're more attuned to being a sales leader and not much of a sales rep, then you may suffer on the revenue side early on in that venture.
Yeah, so it's really important to find that guy with dual unique abilities early on. Barrett Riddleberger, he again is with Exponential Selling. That's X Potential. Hey, I'm sorry, I've been messing up your whole name. X, the letter X, POTENTIAL. That's xpotentialselling.com. And thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Kevin. It's my pleasure.
You bet. And when we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com. And today's show brought to you in part by Chris Kidd Enterprise and Krasny Law Firm. Stay tuned for more.